Sometimes it's nice when the steps are smaller, like step 19. We just have these few parts, no photo etch. Let's just get into this and get it done as quick as we can, because, you know, sometimes it's nice to be quick. And the next step is going to have a lot to it, so let's revel in this right now. So I am starting with F32, just putting it together. And the nice thing is that part F33, like on a similar part in the beginning, oh crud, there, yes, be careful. Part F33 is a little lock on the end of a latch or hard point or whatever, but what I like about it is it's a heck of a cool detail that they put in this kit. And yeah, we've already seen one like this before. I just kind of geek out on it. I like it. So your side box on your 1070 is secure. Right there. So that's built. Now these parts right here go in the bottom. Again, now we've got to be careful moving this cab around, but there's the setup. Orient the cab properly. Look for the parts. Here's the mount for that. And these three pieces that we're doing at the first step, these are what mount the vehicle or the cab onto the chassis. So making sure that this was square in the beginning, because we put that back piece onto the frame, helps to make sure that everything is nice and square for getting this set up. And putting it on. So then G6, you gotta make sure the parts are right. Goes right in here. So they've got a key right here and also on the outside. Put that in like so. Now that doesn't push in any more than that, even if I wanted to. So that tells me that, you know, things might be just a touch off. Doesn't feel like there's any sort of weird gap or I don't know, flash or anything strange along those lines. And this is the right part. It is oriented with the shield or whatever you want to call it to that side. Same with this one right here, but they just don't quite fit into the slot that was cut into the hull right there. So, or the bottom of the cab, I guess, not the hull. They don't quite line up, but as long as you get a solid interaction. See, there's no gap, even though that's not all the way in. It's all the way in enough, we'll call it. And it's keyed so that it's not going to go anywhere or be in the wrong spot, hopefully. So when this is done drying, all these parts will fit onto the chassis oriented correctly. I have a way of dealing with that. Now, the next thing is there is a key right there, or a keyhole if you want, and that goes right underneath the cab, underneath that step. And there it is, but it doesn't seem to fit quite right. So being careful again, grabbing this. Oh, that's why, because I was putting it on the wrong way. So that's where that goes. I don't want to be too liberal with the glue, but I want this to stick the first time, so just setting it up. There we go. Square it up so that it's not off center either way. If I want to pick this up, again, be careful where you put your hands to pick it up. Put a little extra glue. Double check and make sure. Now there is a little bit of a gap there, but in there you can see that's just because this bottom piece right here, for whatever reason, doesn't quite equally match up with everything. I mean, it looks good. Doesn't look like a problem, but I'd prefer if everything was a little bit more square because I have that kind of a mentality. And this is K4. I needed the second one, completely forgot to get the second one. So I'll grab that quick. And that's one of the things about the instructions. I mean, we all kind of, one way or another, have a problem with it from time to time. Is you're like, oh, K4. Well, the instructions don't look like there are two K4s in there. It looks like one K4, and the other one's already depicted as being assembled and put on the vehicle, so you kind of miss it. So that's one of the things you have to look for when you're doing the build, is to make sure that, you know, you can see that's why we use glue bottle holders, and I'm not right now, so we don't knock over our glue. Anyhow, clean this up. Alright, so we've got both K2s, or K4s, and these go on a specific way. As you can see, the singular notch goes up above, and the singular notch goes towards the back. So we put this like this, and this small notch goes on the small key right in the front there, and it slides right down over the bracing and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it's a pretty nice keyed system. So I'm going to put that in place. I'd rather do it this way. Use the capillary action of the bond of the connection. So I've got some glue in there. Now I'm going to let it start doing its thing. And this is where I want to make sure that I've got things squared up, because I do want these to be straight up and down and not angled. And so while that's doing its drying on the front where I put the parts, I'm going to go back through and just kind of run a little bit of glue in the seam and other places so that the glue can run down into the areas, into this, in through the seams, and really just kind of hold on there. And looking at it from the front and the side, that looks really square. Now I'm just going to repeat this process on this side. Now I have to take care as soon as I put the glue in that I'm releasing and not letting my finger sit by a seam so that it doesn't run through that seam and start getting my fingers welded to the model and leaving a fingerprint. I want to use this to get a nice solid joint. I want this to be set up so that it's all oriented together. That felt good. Feels like there's a solid connection in there. So the one trick that I like to use is after I've let this sit for like a minute, so not terrible long, is I like to sit and take the pieces and put them on the frame. And by doing that, I should be able to make sure that everything is squared up. So here's the frame right there. I'm going to turn this over, and actually I'm going to reorient this so I don't have to move this around too much. This will make sure that those K4 parts fit in. Find the holes in the front, yep. And look at the back. Find the holes in the back. Now it doesn't quite fit. I don't know why. So I'm going to be careful and slowly lower that down. Now, at this point in time, everything is located. It should not have any glue where those mounts are, so there shouldn't be any worry at this point about anything breaking. However, because we added these fenders earlier, that adds some lift on the frame. They're just laying on the just laying on those photo etch fenders in the back, up and down. So you got to be careful when you're moving things around. You don't scrape it forward or backward, or else you're going to end up breaking those off and having to re-glue them. You have to be very careful where you grab the frame. One of the nice things about this is that then I can show off my fuel tank again. There we are. And how that fits in there just fine. Now it's not glued, I'm just using this as a way to show it off, not doing the other side, at least at this. But again, these fenders right here are lower than the wheel points there, so you got to be careful you don't end up breaking those off. It's just more work, more headache, and who needs more of that? So now we let this dry, and then I will come and take that cab off, and that will ensure that at least I know that I'm going to get a positive fit when I put that cab on later. All right, come back for step 20. See you then.